Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. A little bit ago, we talked about Xbox games with the Better on Kinect banner, meaning that they were games you could play on controller, but had enhanced gameplay when using the Xbox 360 Kinect. The Kinect was an interesting peripheral that sold well, but is not great in terms of public opinion today, so of course, I'm interested in it. Well, I covered a bunch of Better with Kinect games in my first video, and I have even more for you today. Last time, it felt like minigames didn't get much added with Kinect support, but there were definitely some bright spots. I went through the comments and picked more that you all talked about, and let me tell you if Kinect actually helped with the experience of any of these. Of course, there are more, so if you want more videos like this, be sure to let me know in the comments. All footage was captured off of an Xbox 360, and I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, and let's go ahead and hop into this one. First on today's list is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Future Soldier. This one came out in 2012 and was developed and published by Ubisoft. This was the last 360 entry in this long line of games. I had never played this one before this video, and I enjoyed what I played. It's a third-person shooter with some neat gadgets. Playing it, it felt like a game at the tail end of the 360 era, and it feels like something that could have easily been pushed to the next generation with a solid look and fun gameplay. Everything in this game is not played with Kinect. There are no voice commands or motions to pull off in combat. Kinect is not an enhancement to any of the main gameplay. Instead, it's only used for the gunsmith mode. The weapon customization in this game is insane, with a ton of add-ons and special additions for your weapons. In this game, through various hand motions, you can swipe through and look and select add-ons. There is a surprising amount of motions, and I found it all to be intuitive. You move your hands to explode your gun, and then you put them back together to put it back together. You close your fist to rotate it and take a closer look at it. All of this can be done with your controller, so this is certainly a novelty, but it's a fun novelty. The only thing I'd say does not work is the shooting. You can take your gun to the shooting range and you aim with your right arm and you open your fist to shoot. I feel like testing your weapon through Kinect, not on controller, makes no sense when the main gameplay is not through Kinect. You want to know how it feels on the controller, so this odd little mini game doesn't work well, and it plainly just feels awful to use. And that's it for Kinect features though. You get to scroll through your weapons and look at them closer. It's certainly a novelty, and I don't think it's game changing. You could roll through these on controller and have a fine time, yet I won't say I don't kind of enjoy it. It's barely an addition, but it's neat when you're trying it. This ended up being a fun little novelty. Let's take a look at Burnout Crash, which was an Xbox Live arcade game from 2011. This was the final game in the Burnout franchise, which is a bit depressing. I think if the series continued on, this might be brought up as a silly side novelty for the series, but the fact that this is the last non-remastered Burnout game makes it easier to hate. I had always thought this was just a standalone version of Burnout Crash mode, which it kind of is, but it's far more arcadey. Here you crash your car from a top-down angle and then you explode. Your goal is to destroy as many cars as possible to get high scores, or to not let any vehicles escape your wrath. This game utilizes a lot of noises and power-ups too, where getting combo hits and destruction gives you new cars that will come through and wreck everything, or will give you tornadoes and blow everything away. On the controller, this experience is fun. It's light, and it reminds me of a game I might play at Dave & Buster's, meant for a quick one-time session and then nothing else substantial. Hitting cars and blowing them up for points is hard to not enjoy, but it's certainly nothing that I will keep coming back to. On the other hand, the Kinect throws something into this game that is fun and a bit messy. You start off with your hands out to drive your car. It works fine enough, and all you have to do is crash, so it's easy enough to get a handle on. Upon your crash, you jump to explode. The explosion meter goes up extremely fast, so you will hop around a lot to keep exploding. That's why I say this is a great workout game. I was jumping and moving constantly with hardly any breaks, so it was nice. It also made the experience more entertaining, and I was having a blast with it. The biggest issue though is the aftertouch. After you explode in this game, you can move your car in any direction. On controller, it's easy, but here you move your body, and I found it had issues tracking you. I found that if I was standing still, or if I was pointing a certain way, it would just have an awful time and track some random direction. The aftertouch is where you set up your combos and losing that accuracy makes it more frustrating than challenging. I found it to be annoying on modes where you couldn't let cars pass you, but on specifically high score courses, it wasn't as big of a deal, and I could hop around as much as I want and let cars pass. You really don't have to be accurate on those. So overall, I'd say it's fun and is a nice little addition to this game. Next up is the start of one of my favorite gaming franchises with Forza Horizon. This was the spin-off to Forza Motorsport from Turn 10 Studios that took the simulation franchise and made it arcadey. You get a huge amount of cars, and you get a giant open-world playground full of things to do and races to go to. It's the start of a great franchise, and this was an awesome game. This is one where the Kinect features are limited. It's not going to affect the driving like Forza 4, which had head and hand tracking. You get none of that here. This is a voice-only game, and it's one of the better integrations today. Here you say where you want to go. You say GPS, and it'll give you a selection of words. The best being, take me to the nearest race. Once you say that, it'll place a GPS point down, and you drive there. You can also say specific types of races you might want to go to, or any of the locations on the festival grounds, such as the auction house. It's an easy way to navigate the map without pausing and looking all around. In my eyes, the best way to do Better with Kinect is in these subtle touches like this, something that makes it easier and removes game downtime. I don't know if it's a game changer, but I do think this actually makes it better. The voice recognition is well done, and it makes it a more seamless game. This one is good in my book. Next up is Brave, which is based on the Pixar movie of the same name, which was developed by Behavior. So it makes me wonder, will Merida ever come to Dead by Daylight? I want to see it. This is a children's licensed game that is perfectly fine in my eyes. Graphically janky, but it has solid bow and sword action with some fun platforming stuff. I could see this being a good time for kids. Yet the Kinect features, once again, do not affect the main gameplay. The story has no Kinect gameplay whatsoever. Instead, Kinect gets its own game mode entirely for archery. For the archery sections, you get 3 game modes. Quick Draw, which has you shooting targets as quickly as you can, Quiver Limit, which gives you a limited amount of arrows to shoot at targets, and Survival, which has you defeating waves of targets to survive. Despite having 3 different game modes, there is not much content here. Both the Quick Mode and Quiver Mode only have 5 courses, and it takes under a minute to get gold medals in each of them. The Wave Mode is just one game mode with multiple rounds, and it's breezy to get through. I made it through all of the content here in under 30 minutes, and it's a bit sad because I thought it worked decently. Here you hold out your left hand like holding a bow, and you take your right hand and pull it back like a string, and then you let go to shoot. I found the detection to be accurate, and I found lining up shots to be well done and fun. It's surprising that this handled archery so well, and I was disappointed that this one was so short. Archery is a thing in the main game. I don't know why they didn't add some integration. Since this is a children's game, I feel Behavior just slapped a Kinect mode in here to get that Kinect banner on the case, meaning more kids or parents would buy it for their peripheral. There wasn't a lot of thought put into this, and it's a throwaway minigame. Though I can say it makes the game a little better. It's at least fun, and it's interesting that it's here. I just wish they included it in the main game or just gave us more to do. Let's talk about a sports game with NBA 2K13. Just to preface this section, I know nothing about basketball, so when I played this, I had to have a list of commands up that I could use, otherwise I would have been lost. But I think someone who knows more about basketball might get a kick out of this one. The main reason I picked this is because many of you said if you cursed or yelled after a call, you could gain a technical foul for it, which yeah, if it detects you, it will foul you. I honestly love this little touch, and I could see not knowing this is a thing, getting upset, and then the game fouling you and just being livid about it, which is really funny. Other than that though, it's all voice commands. You can call a timeout, substitute in or out a player, and I was surprised just how well it knew the names to easily swap them around. You can call plays and strategies, so you can call a pick and roll and things like that. I didn't know a lot of the terms, but when I called them, most of the time it worked out fairly well. It's an example of a game that uses Kinect not for gimmicks, but to help streamline the gameplay. This way, you don't have to pause gameplay and roll through menus. You just say it when you need it, and it does it fast enough. This is a great use of Kinect to make you feel like the coach. There's not a ton to say about this one, but it's a solid improvement with the Kinect feature list. We have The Sims 3 Pets up next. Edge of Reality developed this for consoles, and I knew The Sims 3 got a console port, but I had forgotten this specific expansion got a console version. Playing it, it feels like The Sims 3 with more pet-oriented stuff. Exactly what was expected. I do love The Sims, but to be honest with you, the pet expansions along with the magic ones are my least favorite expansions. I never find them that interesting to play, but since this one got a console port, I imagine they are some of the more popular ones in the expansion list. Kinect does enhance the gameplay here, and it's one of the best examples of making the game better today. The Kinect is only used for voice commands here, and it's seamless, and I had no issues with voice recognition. If you say voice commands, you get a large list of commands you can say, and it's robust, though not too specific. You look at your needs, and if you need to eat, you say, eat something. If you need to socialize, you say, socialize. The game will auto-pick the next best thing to do, and your sim will do it. And if you don't like what they choose to do, you say, stop that, and it will remove it from the task list. One thing about Sims on console is the constant menu navigation, selecting items and picking from a huge list of things that you scroll through, while the Kinect basically cuts out the middleman and allows you to not have to pause the game and tell your sim what to do. This made the game easier to manage, and it made it feel like less of a chore. So in this case, it does make the game a better experience, and it's one that I could easily recommend playing with Kinect. There are some cute things here too, like telling your dog to sit just by saying sit, or you can be mean to anybody just by saying be mean. Swapping between Sims is as easy as saying move to Sim 2, and you seamlessly move to that character. There is nothing else going on here besides these voice commands, but this is one of the best uses of Kinect. I just wish it were in a better game for the console, but for what it is, it makes Sims 3 Pets one of the standout titles with the Better With Kinect banner. Let's continue on with another sports game with Madden NFL 13. This is another game in a long line of football games, and unlike basketball, I know a little more about football, though I won't say I'm an expert by any means. This game is another Madden game. Not really much is going on here that changes the formula. You play either offense or defense, run, pass, kick, everything you need in a football game. Though I do like football games, and I had a good time playing this one. This is another time where the Kinect features do help the game. Like many games today, it's all based on voice recognition. You don't navigate menus or gameplay through motion at all. The voice recognition is limited to pre or post play, so there isn't much Kinect integration. I'm okay with this though, because what they decided to do works well. The voice recognition is some of the best I've experienced on the Kinect ever. There are audible menus with loads of plays to switch to. Before you get the ball, you can say any of the phrases on screen. You can swap plays, tell certain players where to move, or even can tell the team to be more aggressive. This quick calling audible system makes the gameplay more seamless, and you don't have to sift through the audible menus. I could see this being awesome for online play, where the play clock isn't slowly counting down as you sift through menus. You can just say what you want. It doesn't work down to the second you say it, but it is surprisingly reactive. On top of that, you can challenge calls by shouting challenge, and you can call timeouts on the fly. You can also tell the team to not huddle so they go right into the next play, effectively making the game faster. There isn't much else going on with Kinect here, but I do think it makes the game more seamless. I had fun calling audibles, and the number of times the voice caught what I said was much better than most games with voice recognition. I was surprised because you can call out players' names, and it did a great job recognizing it. Madden is better with Kinect. Next is Babel Rising, an Xbox Live Arcade game from Ubisoft in 2012. This is a simple game where waves of enemies come out and try to build the Tower of Babel all the way to the top. You play as a god and you use your powers of the elements to kill them before Babel can be built. They come out in waves and you must wait for your powers to charge up in order to use them. You have local moves that are weaker, and then you have stronger moves along with an ultimate move that you can build up. It's an easy concept to understand, and I personally did not find this game very fun. The waves coming in are mindless, and using the basic powers you're given is tediously unchallenging. You just shoot down weak enemies, and you watch the game slowly unfold. On the controller, I found myself growing tired of the game fast, though the game does have a co-op mode which I could see making the game a little bit better. Babel Rising had been released before its Xbox Live Arcade debut, but while playing single player, it felt like a game that could have easily been improved with Kinect controls. And I do think it does make the game a little little more entertaining. In this one, you use your main hand to shoot out the local powers, and you use the other for bigger moves. Sometimes these require you to hold out your hand for longer, which makes them last longer on screen and will kill more enemies. The ultimate is a big movement, and it asks you to wiggle around to make them stronger. It all made sense, and for the most part, it registered well. It doesn't make the game that much better though, but being active brings something more to the game. It's unfortunate though that the camera isn't well handled. You move yourself around side to side to rotate it, and it's never good at gauging when you stop, often leaving you off at weird angles and you have to work around it. One odd thing is that you get 4 powers, but you only have movements for 2 of the powers. So if you want to change elements, you yell change elements or you clap. You have to change often, so you will be clapping and yelling quite often, which can get a bit tiring, especially compared to the controller where you can switch around them freely. It's a bit sad because with a little more polish, it could have been a really solid Kinect game, but it's elements like this that could have been implemented better. Overall, I'd say yes, Kinect makes Babel Rising better, but it's not a great game to start with. Overall, I found this game tedious, and it isn't one I'd recommend playing. The final sports game on today's list is Woods PGA Tour 13. This is another in the long series of golf games from EA, and golf usually makes for a good sports title. They are easy to understand and they can be relaxing. In this one, it goes for a more realistic approach where on the controller you swing using the stick, timing your presses and keeping it straight to get the perfect shot. As it is more realistic, this game is not easy to master, and I failed at this game on controller, but I do like it. It's not holding your hand in any way, and it felt good to play and was a sight to look at. The game completely changes on Kinect though. This is a nice one that fully affects the gameplay and gives you something new. Though getting to the game was a pain on Kinect. It never detected my hands well when I was scrolling through the menus, and it constantly would pick the wrong option when hovering around them, yet getting into the game, it felt better. For one, I love the small attention to detail, such as being able to kneel down to look at your tee. You can also raise your hand above your eyes to zoom out. I don't know what it is, but when I did this, it put a smile on my face instantly. It's a cute little touch that I enjoyed. You put out your fist to aim where your ball goes, and all of this works well and it's intuitive. On top of all that, it has voice commands to have you change out clubs or ask the caddy for their recommendations for the course, which it all read my voice well. The actual driving is a bit more finicky. Here you do what you would imagine, hold an imaginary club with both your hands, pull back, and swing forward. My first reaction was to do this as fast as possible, but you don't want to do that. I learned that this game doesn't quite account for speed, so a slow, steady motion was better. Otherwise, it would cancel out shots. This game on Kinect is far easier, and I found it was far more forgiving on drives and putts in this mode, almost attracting the ball to better places. Putting is all about light hits, and you want to do this slowly too, so it's just about adjusting to the right angle. I thought it was a fun golf game, but it did drop shots far more often than I would have liked, not detecting me hitting the ball and things like that. When you get to its slower pace, it's fun to handle, so I'd say going into this you have a learning curve when using Kinect. I found that this Kinect mode was a great supplement overall to the game, and though it won't replace the accuracy of the controller, it's still a nice attempt from EA to implement Kinect here. This one is well worth giving a shot. The final game on today's list is Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, based on the movie franchise, based on the hit books. This game had consistently received video game after video game adaptation at this point, and I've played a few, and there's some of them that are pretty fun, especially when they were more explorative, allowing you to explore Hogwarts. Yet this was my first time trying this one out, and this is the worst game I'm talking about today. I like giving movie games the benefit of the doubt, but this one is rough, and let me cover a bit of the main game since Kinect is relegated to its own game mode. In this main game, you control Harry and you use your wand to attack bad guys. This franchise, for whatever reason, took on a cover-based shooter style where you take cover and blast tons of enemies. One of the most annoying parts of this game is that Harry yells the spell he uses over and over because you need to hit bad guys a ton. Not only is the angle behind Harry weird, but the game overall has a funky control scheme. Throw in some below par graphics for the time, and you have a recipe for a bad game. I'd hoped Kinect would be integrated integrated into the story to make it more entertaining, but like Brave, it's relegated to its own section. The Kinect mode is an on-rail shooter, having you look behind Harry as he walks around on his own. You move from enemy to enemy, and your goal is to take out as many as you can in a time limit for points, and you can post your high scores on leaderboards. There are only a handful of levels, and all of them are short, so there is not a lot of content here. They do at least give a bunch of fresh environments, and you only get 2 spells for each level, and it swaps around, so there is some variety. Unfortunately, this controls worse than the main game. I had so much trouble having the game read my wand movements. The flick for Stupefy barely works, and the game had trouble with aiming. The other spells require you to do a mix of different hand signals, like raising one hand and flicking with the other one, all of which have issues reading as well. Not like it matters though, as this game mode is extremely easy, and though you have health, you will hardly ever come close to death, giving this game mode no stakes. So you can sit there and wait for your hand motions to work, and you will have no consequences. So the Kinect mode has poor controls, no challenge, and overall has annoying sound design, and I think this is something you can completely skip. Just a poorly thrown together excuse to get a Kinect mode in here to sell more copies of the game. This one was all around a disappointment on Kinect and in the main game, so I can't recommend this one at all. So let me know what else I should cover with Better With Kinect, if there's any you play that I still haven't mentioned. I mentioned a good amount, but there are still some out there. I want to add in here too that Alien Isolation came up a lot in the comments, and I did test it out on the 360. That is only on the Xbox One. The Xbox 360 never got the Kinect integration, but I think that would be good for its own video. Xbox One games with Kinect integration. Be sure to let me know if that's something you'd be interested in. Like if you enjoyed this video, as it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with more retro Xbox content, and check out my second channel, Camp Extras, for more gaming content. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support. You really help out the channel, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.